All right. Hopefully this has worked, and hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Turn this music down. All right. Okay, welcome again back to my kitchen. It's been a hot minute. Today we are doing a test run on a wedding cake that I'm making for my little brother for his wedding, which is what, next weekend? Weekend after? Weekend after? Weekend after. Weekend after next. So this is a test run just to make sure that the recipe that I'm using is stable enough to hold up to being tiered and making sure it doesn't taste like chicken. Now, I have not made wedding cakes in many years. I went to pastry school back in, I don't know, 2005, 2006. Realized that's not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and I haven't made a wedding cake since. We did actually do a whole chapter of wedding cakes, and I was okay at it. I mean, I wasn't great. There were other people in the class that were much better than me. Before I get started on the cake, it's cocktail time. So for that, we need some ice. And Prosecco. If you guys can't hear me, please do let me know. Just want to make sure that my chat's on. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you can't hear me okay, please let me know. I tried to get my little microphone thing to jive with YouTube, but it didn't, so we're using my computer. So today we're going to make a riff on a French 75, which is another pre-prohibition cocktail that I very much so like. And for that, it's like three ingredients. Gin, champagne, 4 ingredients. Simple syrup and lemon juice. I don't have champagne. I have Prosecco. And I'm not using regular simple syrup. I'm using orgeat, which is like an almond, like a sweet almond syrup. And I'm adding elderflower here. It's been a while since I touched this bottle. So the ingredients are, it's like 1 part gin, half part lemon, half part simple, and then you just top the rest off with Prosecco. So we're going to try and stick with that recipe. I'm not measuring my lemon juice. I don't usually do. But usually like half of a lemon is about half an ounce. So we're good. We need half ounce of the orgeat. It's spelled that way. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. Now that's what the bottle looks like. You can get fancier ones, but that one is just available at my local grocery store and local liquor store. So that's the one to get. Okay. And I think, do I want a whole ounce of this? Nah, I think I'm just going to do half an ounce of this, just for the flavor. And I like the Fiorente much better than I like the Saint Germain. I know the Saint Germain is the most popular elderflower liquor out there. This is gonna sound really weird. I don't know if you guys describe the flavor similarly, but it has like a round flavor, and I don't like the round flavor. I like a more balanced flavor. This has, I think, lemon and something else in there that really helps to round it out. And this is a wonderful liquor, and it's less expensive, so win-win. And then for the gin, I'm using Ford's gin, which is a favorite of mine. I kind of, words are really hard today. I'm so sorry. I rotate. I kind of rotate out with Ford's, Hendrix, Bombay, Tanqueray, and recently Bar Hill gin, which is delicious. Bar Hill is distilled with honey, so it has kind of a honey undertone to it. It's just delicious. And if you like the cocktail bee's knees, Bar Hill gin, man, go for it. All right, so that's that. Got 6 full of ice. Nope. There we go. getting better at it, I promise. Okay, popcorn strainer and a champagne flute. Put this right on the cake stand there so you guys can see. Okay, and I'm just using the stuff that was on sale. This is Lunetta Prosecco. Honestly, all Proseccos taste the same to me. So it doesn't really matter to me what kind I use. But if you guys have a favorite Prosecco, absolutely use that. And I like these little bottles because they're like 2 serving bottles, at least for this kind of cocktail. Assuming I can get it open. Oh, nope, that's what I wanted to do. Oh, nope. Okay, there we go. I always open these things over sinks. Even though they've been like dead still the entire day. That's not something I want to risk. It'd be a huge mess. Oh, nope. Sorry. That's something that you have to kind of watch out for. All right, and there's your elderflower and almond French 75. It's delicious. And can be topped up with even more alcohol. Boom. All right, so let's get into the cake stuff. Okay, so it is a raspberry chocolate cake. It is going to be tiered cake, hence that size. I'll try not to, there you go. And that size. So this is much taller, which means I can chop that in half, versus this, which is much thinner, which means that I will probably just be using this as just one layer, right? So yes, I went to culinary school in right after high school. So I graduated high school in 2006, drove up to, I didn't drive, I flew up to New York, where the school was, it used to be called the French Culinary Institute, now it's like the International Culinary Institute. It's on Graham and Broadway. Grand and Broadway. I lived on Graham in Brooklyn. So the school was on Grand and Broadway. I think it's still there, but under a different name. It was the time of my life. I had a ball. I was not good at plating. I was terrible at plating. In fact, my first internship up in New York, they, all the pastry chefs are kind of stuffed in the back because we're just like little goblins. Nobody really wants to see us like out in the open. We have like our own little working space. And at one internship, it was my job to do the plating. And plating is very artistic. I suck so bad that they were just like, ooh, we'll take that. You just go further back and help them with the prep. So I did. So I'm not very good at decorating stuff. I am good at making things, hopefully. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to level off these layers and try not to fuck this up. And I've already fucked it up because I don't have a cake board. So I have to figure out where I'm going to put this. Get some parchment. Hope this works. So cake boards, like cake rounds, they're just like cardboard, like round cardboard things you can buy at Michael's or like a cake decorating store. That's just gonna and earlier today, I made the frosting. And that's just gonna sit and hang out. And I'm going to actually, what you're supposed to do, Star Wars spatula, Yoda on it. Just gonna take a wee little bit and just right there in the center. And that's gonna be my glue. So smash, and then more kind of in the center, and that's gonna hold the cake down. Now, before I do that, this cake calls for a ganache. It's called a ganache. Ganache is essentially just a mixture of heavy cream and chocolate, and it can be, if you do it thicker, in other words, with not a whole lot of cream, you end up with truffles. You can scoop them, shape them, and then coat them in whatever it is you want to coat them. If you put more cream in, then you end up with sometimes a tart you can cut and eat. And then if you put lots of cream in, you end up with a sauce, and that's what we're going for here. So this recipe calls for 1.5 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. I have purchased. I need scissors. Cheers. And these are great. These were provided to me and all the other students at culinary school. So I've had these for 2022 minus 2006, almost 20 years. They are self-sharpening. And check this out. They come apart. So very easy to clean. And I love it. And they're dishwasher safe. Dishwasher safe. That. And in culinary school, we always weighed stuff. We never measured with like volume because it's not accurate. It's not as accurate as if you use a scale. But I don't have any batteries for my scale. And I forgot to get them when I went out. So, okay. I think what I'm going to do. I have a bowl. And this. Is that a third? Oh, that's kind of neat. Does it have a half cup? It do. All right. I have to use 2. That's great. By the way, when you're making like ganache, you really don't have to be super serious about making sure you get your measurements right. Now, in baking in general, you do, because baking is a science, cooking is an art. Literal chemical reactions occur when you bake, and you need to make sure you get the measurements correct, or else those chemical reactions won't happen. Okay, so now I've got my chips, and now I need 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. This is older than me, by the way. This Pyrex glass, which is why it's so janky looking. But I promise it's clean. 1 cup. Is that 3/4 of a cup? Okay, I'm pretty sure that is 3/4 of a cup. So usually I would have this on the stove, and I heat this up on the stove. But since the stove is over there and the camera's right here, I'm just going to use the microwave. Be very careful when you are heating any kind of dairy because it loves to bubble over. So I'm going to do a minute, and I'm just going to keep an eye on it while I plate. And spatula. Oh, it's there. Another spatula. This is going to be a huge mess if I don't. Excuse me for a hot second. I need to fix my hair. Okay, up we go. I just got this new, because I know you guys are so interested in the shampoo that I use. I just got this new clarifying shampoo, and it smells amazing. Clarifying shampoo, by the way, is great because all the products that you use in your hair, hairspray, shampoo, conditioner, all tend to leave like gunk in your hair, and it will build up over time. And the clarifying shampoo helps get rid of all that gunk, so it leaves your hair all nice and like light and flowy. 2 and 1. You need to scald it. So I'm gonna go for another 30 seconds. I'm going to take a sip of my delicious cocktail. Keep an eye on this. If you like lemon, by the way, that drink's for you. It's almost like alcohol. It's great. Oh, she's getting close. Okay. That, my friends, is scalded cream. I don't know if you guys can see. That's scalded cream. This is heavy cream, by the way. Okay, so this, just to make sure she doesn't want me to put anything else in there. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go right on into chocolate chips. And where's my... I've got all kinds of... I've got like a teeny one. I've got like a big one, and I've got a huge balloon one that I use for egg whites. So when you are mixing ganache, start in the center, and you just little circles. And you got to be patient, especially when you're working with like not a lot of chocolate and a lot of cream. Just be patient, because ultimately what will happen is it'll start to emulsify right there in the center. It's happening right now. And then you get a nice smooth ganache. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that ganache in this little bottle that I got from, there's like a restaurant supply store that's right down the street, and I really should go there more often because they've got such cool stuff. They've got like little ketchup and mustard bottles. They've got like bulk food. They've got all kinds of really neat things. If you guys are, it's called GFS, Gordon Food Service. If you guys have that where you are, but amazing place. You guys do parties a lot. Okay, so now it's looking like a ganache. Now you can kind of incorporate the rest of the chocolate kind of on the outside of the bowl there. Now you don't want to incorporate air into this. That's actually a different dessert. That's I forgot what it's called. But if you continue to whisk and you whisk aggressively, you will get kind of almost like a mousse because the heavy cream in there will aerate, and the chocolate will aerate, and it's delicious, but it's not what we're looking for right now. All right, so I'm probably gonna have to like put this in a warm water bath, to keep it nice and warm and drippable because this will be dripped onto the outside of the cake. All right, I got this handy dandy little funnel here, and we're just gonna pour on in slowly. Honestly, probably didn't even need this funnel. In fact, I think I'm just going to try and aim. Come on, get out of there. All right, we're just gonna aim. We're going to attempt to aim here. Hey, look at that. All right, we got a nice. Oh yeah, that was much quicker. Okay. Now we have all this wonderful leftover ganache. Excellent. Clean up the side of the dish there. Okay. So I'm going to get this all the way out of the way. And put my little cap on. And now I have an awesome little bottle of ganache. So if you guys have ever seen, like, I don't know if you frequent Pinterest or recipe pages, but it's that, like, you see cakes and you see like that kind of like cool drippy kind of a decoration on the outside. That's how you get it. You have to get these little jars. Okay, so back to the cake. So we're going to start with that layer. I'm going to get my bread knife. This is a great knife. This is Mac. It's a Mac knife. It's a Japanese-made knife. Kind of expensive, but it's an amazing knife. I've got the chef's knife, and I've got a little paring knife, too. Just incredible tools. Okay. So I've got big old hands, so this works for me. If you don't have big hands, you can just use a plate. And these cakes have been chilling. You know what? Before I do that, I'm going to just cut around the cake. Just make sure that it's nice and loose. I put some parchment on the bottom, so it should not be sticking to the bottom. Butter knife on these pans. These are not non-stick, but anytime you have a metal pan, always use. If you have plastic, that's even better, because you don't want to risk scraping off any of that metal into the actual cake. Trust me, I've done it. It's gross. All right, moment of truth. Is this gonna? You know what I'm gonna do? Parchment. Parchment is wonderful. By the way. It's silicone, so nothing sticks to it. So, rather than get my hands all dirty again, let's see what this one. Hey, look at that. All right. It's always like an anxiety, like butt puckering moment when you're trying to get the cake out of the pan. And, like, hope to God that it's the whole thing comes out in one piece. So actually, I was gonna just level it off, but since we have a nice flat piece right here, I think that we'll probably do. I'm just gonna put that right on top there. I'm using the parchment to moosh it down a little bit. Okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. That should be fine. Okay. So now what I'm going to need to do is create kind of like a It's not a moat. What's the thing like on the river? Embankment. Create like an embankment with frosting around the edge here. Because I have raspberry filling that I made with fresh raspberries. I haven't tasted it yet. I hope it turned out good. That's just gonna chill right there for a sec. Well, I load my pastry basket. Where are my pastry things? Oh. There we go. Pastry tips. And for this, I want probably this size. This is 807. So that goes in there. Up. Do I need to cut this? I might need to cut this. I'm gonna need to cut this. Okay. I don't like doing this. That was enough. Well, it's not enough. All right. Let's see what else. How much more do I need to cut? Nope. Just a wee bit more. This is a brand new pastry bag, by the way. So now there are actually plastic like guards that you can get for pastry bags, so that if you cut kind of a bigger hole for it to fit like tips like these, you can put the guard in there so that you can put in smaller pastry. I'm not getting any checks. I am not getting any checks. What's happening here? Lead chat. Yeah, what's happening? That's weird. Well, I'm not seeing any chats or any. Oh, there they are. Hey. Yeah. My friend, my spirit animal, my friend and spirit animal, has kitchen shoes that she wears whenever she's cooking in the kitchen, and they are kitchen shoes because they're high heels, because she is about as big as I am and needs the extra help to reach things that are too high for her. There we go. I'm being very, very, very kind of conservative as I'm cutting this, because I don't want to cut too big. Because if I cut too big, then the tip will just fall right out. And this is cloth. This is like a canvas, which is the best. That plastic bullshit, it's so gross. You can never get it clean. It ends up smelling icky, and it's just cheap. It's nasty. All right, we're almost there. Almost there. Lord. Coax it out there. Okay. All right, almost. I think I'm gonna. Okay. Let's see this should work. Whoop. Whoop. There we go. All right. There we go. Take it. So now I'm gonna moosh this up a little bit. This frosting, by the way, is amazing. It's mostly butter. It's mostly butter, chocolate, and cream. It's wonderful. Yeah, I'm gonna get a big spatula and just take a big old honkin'. So here's a good trick. If you ever find yourself in a position to where you are making a cake from scratch yourself, you get a glass, like a pint glass, preferably with Harley Quinn on it, and just stuff it down in that glass, and now you've got a nice, stable kind of stand to put that frosting in. I'm not going to fill it all the way up, but I do want to get a good amount in there. I don't want to have to keep, because every time you refill it, you get air pockets, and air pockets are obnoxious. All right, so that's probably good. This is really good frosting, by the way. All right, so I'm going to roll this up, try not to get any of the frosting outside of the outside. And what you're going to do is you're just going to grab it here with your two fingers and just going to squeeze it down. There we go. All right, so now what you're going to do is just on the outside. I'm going to put it in about a 1/2 inch from the outside because I'm going to do a crumb coat later on. And I'm going to fill that little space in. That was too fast. Nobody's going to see this, so don't worry about making this like any kind of neat. All right, so that's going to hang out here, and I need this one. Sure. Actually, before I do that, because I can never just follow a recipe, I have Shampoo. And I'm just going to sprinkle it. Usually I have like a little squirt bottle, but you can just sprinkle it. It'll keep the cake nice and moist. Make it a little boozy. Like a common practice among bakers is to soak cake layers with simple syrup. Because a lot of the times when they make cakes meant to tier, they can be dry because they need that structure. So they'll just add the liquid back, essentially. Now this is homemade because that's what the recipe called for. Feel free to just use jam. I don't see why jam wouldn't work here. This is kind of loose, so I'm being kind of sparing with it. I don't want it to be like gross and like oozing out like brains. Although, come to think of it, with Halloween coming up, this actually might be a pretty appropriate cake to make for Halloween. And as you can see, right, that little barrier that we made is helping to keep all that goodness inside. Which is wonderful. And then when I'm done with this, I'm going to put it on a plate, get it out of the way, and then work on the other layer. I think the other layer I'm probably going to have to shave the top off. So actually, should be good. Okay. Chill out there. Let's grab it. And boom. All right. I'm gonna stick this in anytime you're working with like a layered cake. If you're not working with certain pieces, you stick those pieces in the freezer or the fridge. Right? The goal is to keep it cold because the colder it is, the firmer it is. Just hang out there for a little bit. Get another piece of parchment there. I have that stupid, I don't know if you guys are keeping up with trends on TikTok, but there's a song out there, it's called Teenage Dirtbag, which a bunch of celebrities are like using to like, they'll show themselves and then they'll show pictures of them as teenagers. And I've had it stuck in my head for the last 5 days. I literally, and it'll just be just randomly, idly just existing, and I'll just start singing it. I hate it. I love the song, but it's like, can I please get something else stuck in my head? This is getting exhausting. Boom. Parchment saves lives. Okay, so yes, I think I'm going to flip it because the problem is that, see how it's, I don't know, you can't see, but it's lopsided. So if I put this over the raspberry as it is, you're going to get the kind of bigger part squishing into the raspberry and it's going to overflow. So you're going to get displacement of raspberry. We don't want that. We want it to be nice and flat. And pro tip, keep the leftovers. You can make cake pops with it. This is why bread knives are so awesome for cakes because they're nice and long. And they basically span the entire cake. And now, oh my goodness, look at that. That is super moist. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Clean these crumbs up a little bit. I mean, it's not as wonderful and flat as I'd like it to be, but most cakes are. Oh. Yeah. Well, I mean, some might, some kids might. Listen, when I was a kid, my parents used to give me alcohol. I used to get a glass of champagne every New Year's to toast with, and my aunt used to slip us like pina coladas, and she'd lie to my parents and tell my parents it was like virgin pina coladas. But they were actually just full of rum. It was great. All right, so I'm gonna play. All right, I'm gonna remove this there. Keep this one back out. That here, and now I'm going to flip this over so I get the much flatter side. Actually, so I get the flatter side that's facing up. Gross. Okay. Hopefully. Don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up. Hey! I haven't done this in so long. I'm so afraid I'm just gonna fuck it up. But that's why we do test runs. That's why we do test runs. So that we know the times where it's risky to fuck up. And we can plan for it. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the freezer. Because if I try and put what's called a crumb coat, which is just a very thin layer of icing on the cake, now I'm gonna get it lots of crumbs. But once it kind of has a chance to chill, it will not be as crummy. So, first layer. Okay, and while this is chilling, the thing about pastry, there's actually a lot of downtime because you're having to chill stuff along the way. Because if you don't chill the things along the way, then it doesn't work. Okay. More parchment. Well, actually, I'll do this. All right, so this is going to be top tier. And I am going to have to cut this in half. Put it in a little smudge of icing there. And you're going to do that. We're going to leave that parchment there. I'm going to do my damnedest to get this to be nice and even. I'm trying to knock shit over when I'm doing it. Boom. So this will be the top layer because it's nice and flat. And I'm not even going to have to worry about doing anything to the bottom of that because that's going to go, there will be no filling under it. There will just be frosting. All right, so same thing with this one. We're going to do a little barrier around the outside. Frosting. Some raspberry. And I will, if you guys are interested at all in making this cake, I will post the recipe on Patreon. This is not my recipe. This is a recipe that I got on the internet when I was looking for chocolate raspberry cakes. And I mean, it seems to be coming along just fine. Okay. Now we put top on. And I'm going to keep that parchment on there because it helps to keep the cake nice and moist. Dry out all that. Oh, I didn't put the shampoo. Oh, no. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. It's a test run. All right. Now, one of the things I've always learned in cooking, pastry, whatever, is to clean as you go. Otherwise, it can be quite overwhelming. So that's what we're doing. Actually, as I'm doing this, I'm going to put that in the freezer. This out of the way. Yes. Then we're going to clean up all these guys. Show. Okay. I think I'm going to keep that where that is. Go this way. Go that way. This way. So yeah. How was you guys' weekend? I've been sitting here just talking at you on how to make a cake, and I haven't had any kind of conversation with you guys about how your week has just been. Last night we watched. Yeah, thanks. Congrats, I didn't fuck it up. Yeah. Actually, do I want to use the dishwasher? Yeah, I'll just use the dishwasher. We watched the fights last night at my brother's house, and he made this amazing smoked sausage. He made several different types of smoked sausage, and all of them were just humongous. He got this new, it's like an egg. It's not the green egg. Maybe it is the green egg, but it's red. But it's huge, and it's like a smoker, pressure cooker, grill. It's like everything, and it creates the most amazing, delicious food. Otherwise, update on the art. So, when I last talked to you guys, I was saying that I was frustrated because the artist that I found on this one particular website, there was a breakdown in communication, something, I don't know what happened. I don't know if she just didn't care enough to do my piece or whatever. But I was extremely disappointed, and I did end up having to pay full price. It wasn't her fault. They charged me right when I put the job in. So, she wasn't able to take it off. It's just how the website looked. So I'm not gonna blame her for it. But I ended up paying full price on a piece that's just like. So I did more research. Very talkative dog. So I did more research, and I found another artist on Etsy. And I reached out to her. I loved her work. I said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Looks like something that you can do. I'd be very interested in hiring you for your services. And right off the bat, she's like, yeah, send me the photographs, send her the photographs, test photographs. And she's like, oh my God, that's so cool. I already have all these ideas. Do you mind if I do this? Like, I'm getting this. And she was super engaged. And like the other artist was just not. The other artist was like, I had to vomit everything on her. It almost was like she just didn't really want to participate. It almost was like she just wanted to draw one of the photographs that I sent her, which is essentially what she did. But this new artist, she seems super excited about it, which makes me hopeful. In fact, she said she actually asked if she could use it for her portfolio. And I was like, absolutely. I was like, absolutely, dude. And she's like, can I also stream it while I'm doing it? And I was like, fuck yes, you can. I said, just tag me in it or don't. I don't know, but it would be great if you could tag me. So I will also put her handle on Twitter and Twitch, I think is where she streams, on Patreon, so you guys can, check. First of all, check her out. She's amazing. Second of all, so you guys can see the process and kind of like watch her do it. I can't wait until she starts. I don't think she started yet, but I think it'll be okay. So that was really the most exciting update. This week was real slow week. We might be losing a client. This client might be going belly up, which I'm not that terribly upset about because I have trial in one of their cases in November. Obviously, if they go belly up, trial's off the table. And it provides a bargaining chip for me in negotiations because I can just be like, go to opposing counsel and be like, hey, my client's about to go out of business. We're going to offer you this amount of money. You better take it, or that's all you're ever going to get. Lol. So we'll see how it works. How the hell do you keep that together? What, the cake? Very gingerly. I pick up very gingerly. It actually was highly anxiety inducing picking that cake up and trying to move it. I have made wedding cakes before. So I guess my earlier comment was a lie. I made my friend's sister's wedding cake. And then I made my sister's husband's groom's cake. But that was before I went to culinary school, I think. No, it was after. She got married when she was 20. I was 18. Yeah. So that was after I had graduated. So I made her groom's cake. And it was like a chocolate, like double chocolate coffee Kahlua cake. It was very good. Okay. So what I'm going to test this because here's kind of what I'm going for. And obviously this is not a cake, this is not frosting, so I'm sure it's going to behave differently. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna need to probably just 1, 2, 3. Yeah, all right. So that's what I'm going for. Jeez. Okay, so this, if you guys can see that, this instead of that, because that just looks like a melting candle. I don't want a melting candle. I want something more like that. So that would just mean it's just boop, boop, boop instead of like da 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 da. Because that's very descriptive, just the da 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 da. Okay, Lord. Okay, so let me mix this frosting up a little bit. You want it to be nice and pliable, I guess is the word for it. I don't know, creamy, not clunky, chunky, clunky, chunky. A lot of frosting. A lot of frosting. And it is not a traditional buttercream. A traditional buttercream actually has meringue in it. Like, and you have to cook the meringue over the stove, and then whip it. And then as it's cooling, you add butter, room temperature butter, like little butter pads, and just like itty bitty pieces. And it takes a very long time. But the good thing about that buttercream is that it's very stable. It's not just gonna like melt, in like after 10 minutes after trying to use it. I didn't want you to do that. Okay. I need. I had these, but I had to grab them from my parents' house because that's when I came home from culinary school. That is where all of my tools just lived, and I didn't bring them with me. So I had to venture to my parents' house today to grab all these things. This is a tiny offset spatula. This is a bigger offset spatula. This is just a spatula. And actually, it's funny. See the little tape there? That is from 2006 because we had to identify our tools somehow. So my tools had blue and green tape, and I did this weird little like yin yang thing on there because I was a high school student and I thought it was cool. But there you go. Okay, so let's do the crumb coat. Ideally, I would have left this in the fridge for like an hour, but I think it'll be fine for purposes of the crumb coat. And the easiest way to apply frosting is with this. You could just kind of lob it on with a spatula, but this allows you a lot more control in how much you're putting on there, and you're not having to agitate the frosting as much if you use like this and kind of place it where you want to place it rather than like taking one big clump and like putting it in, then you're having to like spread that all over everything. Okay. And if you don't have a glass handy, because I just put chocolate all over the one that I had been using, just use your hands. Thusly. And try and like push it down there so that you're popping any air bubbles. I mean, for the crumb coat, it's not that big of a deal. But if you are using the frosting to decorate things, then it can be extremely frustrating. Hi, buddy. No, it'll kill you. God said no. I'm sorry. You talked too much. He got mad and he said you couldn't have chocolate. Take it up, God. I just got chocolate on the dog's head. Sit. That's a good boy. You want a dental chew? Well, I'm sure you do. Come here. Good boy. Okay. I took him to the vet recently, and she was like, "He has such beautiful teeth." I said, "No." I gave him dental chews. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of spiral this as best we can. Not worrying again because you're gonna spread all this stuff out. So like I'm not worried about. And this is a crumb coat too, so even less worried about whether or not this looks neat. Refill this. Wow! Don't do that. Ah! Very important that you kind of push the thing into the cake, because otherwise this happens and it just kind of falls off like a kind of looks like poop. You don't want that. Okay, there we go. All right. Fill this already. I need to make more frosting. Ooh. This is why test runs are extremely important. I did not want to have to find this out like on the day that I needed to make the cake. By the way, when I made this cake, I thought it was the batter was going to be enough to make these 2 tiers. It was not. It was fine because I had all the ingredients that I needed, but also that's why test runs are extremely important. Whoa! It was almost a mess. Back to it. This out of the way. Stay put. There we go. No, sir, you've already had a treat. No, you cannot have that. That is chocolate. Go. Go, go, go. Go. I'm trying to murder my dog here. All right, so this is the crumb coat. And, I'm going to use an optical spatula. This will be a lot easier. So I am not at all worried about this being any kind of neat. What I'm trying to do, the reason it's called a crumb coat, is because I am sealing in the crumbs. So that when I do ultimately put that final layer of frosting on, I don't have to worry about getting crumbs all up in there. Try not to get the parchment. And if you like decorating cakes, this little thingy, life changer. I don't know if I could actually do this without this little spin thing. Lazy Susan thing. I don't know what you call it. Cake twirler. Cake table. I don't know. It's something. A lot of frosting. And I'm making sure, I'm looking to make sure that there are no crumbs on the frosting that I'm kind of putting back in the bowl. So that kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. Buddy, you can't be in here. I do not want you eating crumbs. No, no, no. Mm-mm. Go on. Out of the kitchen. Good boy. He does this thing because he's a very big dog. So he does this thing like when we're cooking. He'll put his head, he'll put his like snoot up by where the food is. And he's gotten in a lot of trouble for doing that. So he knows exactly what out of the kitchen means. He's a very smart boy. But also because he hears it like every day. Yeah. And also what this crumb coat kind of does is it acts as almost like a putty. For those of you who are familiar with working on cars and kind of fixing dents and doing body work, think of the crumb coat as like a putty. That's kind of filling in all those like gaps and stuff that's uneven and all kinds of stuff. Okay. I'm sure. And you wanna make sure that your crumb coat is pretty thin. You don't want to like gob the frosting on because that's gross. Nobody likes. I mean, I like more frosting than cake, but I'm also kind of weird. Okay, so crumb coated. It is now crumb coated. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get like a separate little bowl to put the crumb stuff in. Did I miss any crumbs? That might be crummy. Okay. There we go. All right. And now this guy goes back into the fridge. Try not to drop it. Oh, Lord. Come, sweetie child. The baby cake. I wanted this to be taller, but I did not have enough ingredients to make a whole ass second like cake. So it's not as tall as I'd like. But you know, these are these. Again, that's why you do test runs. Let me catch up on some comments here and not get myself all chocolatey. Holy cow! Hello and welcome from Canada. What time is it up there? How cold is it? It's 95 degrees out here. It was absolutely miserable today running around trying to get all the ingredients. Hell yeah, smash that like button and subscribe. Okay, so I'm gonna push that back down, clean this up a little bit, put that in there. Actually, we're gonna put it right in the center there. Okay, and now this comes back on. Please make sure to remove the parchment from under it. Ooh, is it gonna rain? He thinks it will rain. Let's check a little bit. So usually in the summer here in Florida, it'll rain either in the afternoon or in the evening. It starts to rain in the evening towards late summer. Aha! Yes, we have 30% chance of rain starting at 7 p.m. Although I'm starting to already see it kind of develop. It's starting to get dark. So hopefully I don't lose power. Okay. Put that away. And I'm gonna refill this, I think, so I'm not starting from a deficit. Okay. It's going to be a beautiful little ceremony. They're just going to do it at my mom and dad's house. And then we're going to go over to my brother's house and we're going to have a reception there. And, I completely forgot to do the goddamn icing. Okay. So we saw a TikTok video about this couple cutting the cake. Well, the husband was cutting the cake and the bride iced him. So she put a Smirnoff ice in the cake. And I am absolutely going to be doing that with this wedding cake. I just need to figure out how I'm going to be doing that. I'm hoping my brother won't get it. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll find it funny. I hope that he won't find it insulting. At the very least, he'll have a nice Smirnoff there to enjoy with his chocolate cake. It's funny. I used to watch the Food Network all the damn time, right? My culinary school. And a lot of the shows I noticed were lawyers that were no longer lawyers and just decided to be cooks. And I did not resonate as much with that as I do now at this moment. If I were to stop doing the law and did something food related, I'd probably be at open my own pub. And I think I've told you guys this before. Ideally, it would be a pub in Ireland because hell yeah, and it would be good old Southern cooking, like barbecue and shrimp and grits and. I know you want to be here to get the crumbs, but you can't. Go boy. Okay. Yes. Because this is not a knock on Irish people, because the Irish cuisine is absolutely delicious. It's delicious. They just haven't quite gotten the hang of barbecue over there. We stayed at, I think it was a Radisson. And it was, the building itself was a very old building. It was a beautiful building, like an old manor or something like that, or a castle. And they had this huge sign out front touting how they had the best barbecue in town. And so we were like, barbecue in Ireland? Well, obviously we have to try it. Now I basically live in the tropics. Florida's not really considered the South. Jacksonville, Pensacola, up North Florida, maybe. But when you get down to Central Florida and South Florida, that's no longer the deep South. You are now in a different country, essentially. You're now in Little Cuba. So really the cuisine that that is traditional to where I live is more Cuban. Black beans and rice, Cuban sandwiches, lots of Colombian, lots of Venezuelan stuff. Not as much down home Southern cuisine. Like I said, you don't get that till you go kind of up further north in Florida. That having been said, I do know my fair share of barbecue, and I don't consider myself a barbecue connoisseur by any stretch of the imagination. But I do know that barbecue must be smoked. Must be smoked. If it's not smoked, then you're just baking something, and that's fine too. Just don't call it barbecue. And unfortunately, that's exactly what they were doing over in Ireland. Is they were just slow cooking these ribs and then slapping a bunch of Sweet Baby Ray's sauce on top of it and calling it barbecue. It was well, it was mediocre at best. It wasn't even even if you thought of it in terms of this is just slow cooked ribs with barbecue sauce on it, not great. And I feel if we opened a Southern restaurant somewhere in Ireland, it'd be very popular. That's what I feel. I don't know if that's actually the case. If anybody who's watching this is from Ireland and can correct me, please do. Always up to learning new things. But that's the plan. If I were to ever not be a lawyer and do stuff that's not lawyerly, I'd open my own pub. Because I like making cocktails more than I like making pastries. All right, that crumb coat is done. So we're going to stick this back in the freezer. There we go. Okay. Oh, my back already. Oh, yeah. now this guy is ready for the final coat. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. For this one, I'm just gonna pipe it on the sides, but I'm not gonna worry about piping it on the top because I can just. At this point, you're pretty safe. You're not gonna get a whole lot of crumbs. So it's basically at this point you're just kind of building up the frosting. Just kind of. What the hell is Shawn Mendes playing on my Blink-182 station? This is the shit. Go home, Pandora, you're drunk. But I do like this one. But not on the station. Okay. So, there you go. I mean, Angels and Airways is really not that much better, but I'll take it. I'll take it over Shawn Mendes. And I like to start on the sides and kind of work my way down because you kind of can lob it over the edge there. I'm just going to fill up the edge. And for this one, I'm really just kind of practicing, so I'm not super worried about getting this to be perfect. And honestly, I am not super worried about getting my brother's wedding cake to be perfect either. Because I told him, I was like, I've literally not made a wedding cake for like over a decade. I am out of practice. He's like, that's fine. So he already knows. Disclaimer, your cake may turn out really, really ugly. I saw a comment about Ebor. Oh my God, 104. Holy shit. Oh, must be nice. 64. A cool 64. That is actually cold weather for us. That is sweater weather here in Florida. Where's the Ebor one that I saw? I have been to the Columbia restaurant in Ebor, and there are actually several other locations. There's one in St. Augustine. There's one in Clearwater. There used to be one in St. Pete, downtown St. Pete, but that one has since closed, and they never reopened. But yes, their 1905 salad is legit. So is their sangria. I have never caught the flamenco dancing though. So I guess like every weekend they'll have like flamenco dancers come and be the entertainment. So I haven't gotten the chance to see that. But I hear it's awesome. I'm trying to think of like an iconic Cuban restaurant. La Teresita. I'm sorry, I cannot. I can understand some Spanish, but I cannot speak it. And sure as shit, I cannot pronounce it. La Teresita used to be an old grocery store in Tampa proper, and then kind of morphed into a restaurant. And now it's one of the most popular, kind of one of the older Cuban restaurants up here in Tampa. And oh my God, their food is so good. Their ropa vieja, which is basically just shredded beef in a tomato sauce, to die for. Chicken and yellow rice, also to die for. And sir, out of the kitchen. Go on. I don't want you shit in liquid. He has a very delicate composition. And instead of bringing just like regular bread and butter, they bring you toasted Cuban bread with melted. I think it's butter, but I would not be surprised if it were margarine because that's how my family used to do it. In fact, we used to have like that squeeze butter, like the parquet. That was our butter, and it was delicious. And that and the individually wrapped craft singles. As a child, like that was part of the reason that I was so excited to always go visit my grandmother. Because she'd have those treats. Oh my God, and the little Swiss roll, like the little Debbie cakes. But those are my grandmother's. Like we weren't allowed to touch them, even though I used to steal them all the time. For us, she would get us the Keebler chocolate-covered graham cookies, which are also delicious, but not as delicious as the little Debbie cakes, and she knew it. She was stiffing us. Instead of getting 2 boxes of Little W's, she got the Little W's for her, and then she'd give us the stupid chocolate covered Keebler cookies. Whatever, it's fine. And she lived with us while my parents were working, so that they didn't have to get like a babysitter, because at the time they couldn't afford it. And she would make, dinner every night, and it would always be Cuban dinner because that's what she knew how to make. And it would be, caldo gallego. It would be tortilla. Tortilla, by the way, is basically a quiche. It's not like the tortilla that you think of in the sense of like Mexican food. It's like a quiche with like potatoes and onions. It's so good. It's like, actually, they're more like home fries because she fries the potatoes first before she puts them in the quiche. Delicious. Black beans and rice, of course. Muffled pork every now and then. Ropa vieja every now and then. She would make these like tuna fritters. And when I say tuna fritter, I mean like canned tuna. Like she'd do like canned tuna. She'd mix it with like mayonnaise and butter and baking soda and a little bit of flour. And it sounds disgusting, but you guys, oh my God, they were so good. Those tuna fritters were so good. She'd fry them in like a shallow pan with olive oil. And we'd just snatch them right out of the pan, and she'd have her little spoon there, and she'd stop it. That was great. Memories, yo. All right, here's a trick that you can use. I'm not going to use it right now because I'm not really concerned about getting this super smooth. But if you dip your spatula into hot water, you'll get, and then like use it on the cake, you'll get a really, 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 really smooth cake. Don't ever do that, by the way. Don't ever do that, because then you end up with stuff like that. Actually, I think I'm going to put a little bit more. Hopefully I have enough frosting to finish this. What time is it? 5:07. All right. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse this off. Nice and clean. And I'm gonna keep the water, some water on it, and then, because you can also do it with water. It doesn't have to be hot. It just works better if it's hot. But now you have this nice smooth cake to work with. In culinary school, I would just spend hours just doing this, just smoothing the sides and then smoothing the top and then smoothing the sides and then smoothing the top. I'm pretty sure I'm on the spectrum. Okay, so that's that. I really am now afraid to transfer this, but I'm going to do it. And I think I'm going to use the entire. Plates. Sure, shit. When I make this for real, I will have actual cake boards. All right. Now let's finish doing the little guy, and then we're gonna build it. I'm gonna put the tiers together. I'm just gonna keep it on the plate and take a sip. Thanks, Roy. What kind of German Shepherd you got? Oh, and I tell you, I'm not sure. He is. When we got him, we were told he was a long coat European German Shepherd. He's from Serbia. So that's him. He's all black. He's about 115 pounds, and he's afraid of thunder, which is hilarious. But like, if somebody comes to the door, like sure shit, he'll kill them. Like he'll absolutely jump on them and eat them. But he's afraid of thunder, which is adorable. His name is Loki. God, I haven't heard Sugar Ray in a minute. Parchment, I feel, was a good idea at first, and now it's really getting in the way. Like I said, I'm not super worried about making this perfect. I am just trying to practice. Yeah, I would have liked this to be probably half again as tall, this top tier. So I think when I make this for real, I'm probably going to do a double recipe. And you know, it's funny, like when we were doing our little kind of wedding cake chapter, nobody ever taught us the bag technique where you can just use a piping bag and pipe the frosting on the outside where you want it to. You can get it exactly where you want it to be. Like we had to do it this way. And I wonder if that's like they wanted us to learn the hard way, like the old-fashioned way. I don't know. They just never mentioned it, and it I realized that after watching a whole bunch of like cake decorating shows afterward. I'm like, what the fuck? They never taught us that. That would have been so much easier if they taught us that. Yeah. We got the sides pretty well frosted. Do have lots of frosting left, which is good. I might have to double up on the frosting though if I'm doubling up on this tier here. Cookies crumble for me. Who knows how long? Do you guys have a favorite like early 2000s band? I had many. I had like it really ran the gamut. Like Backstreet Boys for sure. NSYNC not as much because they were just posers. Blink-182 obviously. Avril Lavigne obviously. I was very poppy, very pop punky. But then I also like Nirvana and Metallica and Tool and like it was just all over the place. And then once dubstep became a thing, I was just all over the dubstep. I was like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing in the world. Okay. I think that's about as much as I'm going to do here. I'm going to put one more little layer on the outside just so you're not seeing any cake popping through. And then I think that will be that. Here's the thing, like, if I'm doing a buttercream cake, I don't want it to look like a fondant cake. I want it to look like a buttercream cake. So I want it to have some texture to it. Some strokes, some paint strokes, if you will. Frosting strokes. Okay. So, that's that. The other one back out. And we are going to prep it. Put the little one on top and to do that. Oh no. This is why I don't like the parchment. Look what happened. Okay. You know, I keep saying like I don't need it to be perfect, but here I am trying to make it perfect. All right, so in order to get this to support that other tier, I'm going to put some tiers in it. And I wanted straws because straws are a lot like plastic straws. They're terrible for the environment, but they're great for cake making. Because easier to cut. Okay. So I'm going to use skewers. So down there. Oh, I don't even need to use a marker. So where the frosting stops is where I'm going to cut it. And I'm just going to use these guys here. And there you go. Boom. And what that does is I'm going to put it all around, and that will provide kind of a base for the other cake to sit on so that it doesn't swoosh down into this cake. Straws are also good, better too, because you don't run the risk of having any splinters in your cake, which would probably not be very tasty. Yeah, there. And you can kind of guess as to like where you can put these. If you air towards the center, that's better rather than airing towards the outside of the cake, because then you run the risk of not having the cake like sit where the skewers are. The other thing that's probably really important here is to have a cake base, so that there is a hard surface for the cake to kind of rest on when you put it on. Because I mean, otherwise, obviously, especially if you're using like these little thin things, and if you put the cake on top of the thin things, it's just gonna like just go up into the cake. So it's not really doing what it's supposed to be doing. I'm just gonna put one here, one there, one there, one. Okay, so one, two, like 3 more. Oh my god, Third Eye Blind. I love Third Eye Blind. I don't know why my Blink-182 station has turned into like an early 2000s alternative station, but here we are. Okay, that's what I'm doing. That's all that I'm going to do. And now I have to figure out how. I have cardboard? I don't think I have cardboard. I have an idea though. I have an idea. Parchment, bitches. All right. Another pro tip. If you want to line the bottom of your cake pan with parchment, fold it in half, fold in quarters, and then fold it in triangles. Many triangles, all the triangles. And then what you do, what's your little cake pan? Oh, I put it in the jar. Okay, is you take your pan, and you measure. Okay. So just go to the center there. So I want to cut it right here. Hold it and cut. Now again, ideally I would have a cardboard round to place on top, but since I did not plan properly and I'm kind of dumb, I don't. So I have parchment instead, and hopefully the parchment will keep the top tier from smooshing down the bottom tier. All right, and this is the moment of truth, and I really hope I don't fuck this up, because now I have to remove the top tier and place it on top of this cake. All right, wish me luck. I'm not religious, by the way. No, not that. Aha! Ah! See this thing? All right, so this is what we're gonna. Don't fuck up! Don't fuck up! Don't fuck up! It has stuck to the bottom here. This works. Ooh. No bueno. Now the spatula is stuck. Shit. Oh no. All right. Here we go. That is the situation I'm dealing with right now. The thing about decorating is that most things can be fixed. Alright, so now I know I need to practice, getting the cake off and putting it back on to things. That is not how I wanted it, but hey, you know what? Like I said, this is for practice. Alright, so let's try and fix this mess that I've made. Always, always, always have more frosting on hand for this. And so you can kind of fill in the bottom here. I'm using a smaller spatula just because I have more control with it. This is an ugly ass cake, you guys. This is absolutely hideous. I am under no illusion of this cake being anything other than just absolutely hideous. I would not pay for this cake. I'll eat it for sure. But if I pay money for this cake. But here's the thing. I'm not charging my brother. So he's getting a free wedding cake. Wedding cakes are very expensive, so this is what you get for free, I guess. And as you can see, I absolutely did not center this at all. Now I've seen cakes that are like this, where it's kind of they're off center, and they look fine. But that was not what I intended. But I'd much rather do something that I intended, rather than have happy mistakes. I don't like mistakes, even if they are happy. Okay. So here. I almost didn't want to do this on live because I was like, they're gonna laugh at me. They're gonna laugh. But I figured it's like, you know what? If I just kind of premise everything by saying I don't know what the fuck it is that I'm doing, and this is going to be absolutely hideous, it would be fine. So hopefully it's fine. Okay. Now it's just a matter of just kind of cleaning up the edges. Frosting here. This is also why chilling is so very important, because this would have been a lot easier to handle and work with had that been nearly frozen. Like that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this to be nearly frozen. And it's not going to mess up the integrity of the cake or the flavor of the cake unless you put it in there uncovered. Then that could fuck up the flavor. But if you properly cover it, you're fine. In fact, you could probably freeze this cake for a few weeks, and it will still be delicious. That's probably about as good as it's going to get. And now, I'm going to fix my gigantic, manly handprint on the top of this cake here. But it seems like the skewers are working, because the top tier ain't sinking into the bottom tier. It looks like we're doing good. And I'm also kind of rushing this because I've got somewhere I need to be at 5:30. So I'm not taking the kind of time and care that I will be doing when it actually comes game time. Like, I could just keep smoothing and re-smoothing for the rest of my life, and it will never be smooth enough. At some point, I should probably not. Should probably stop smoothing. Top here. Okay. So, and now we're going to decorate it. I've made a huge mess. All right. Actually, hold on. I'm sorry. This, I can't. I can't. It must be smooth. Ugh. Good enough. Good enough. All right. God damn. 1, 2, 3. Go. Whoa. I am very impressed with the consistency that this Ganache has maintained without me having to like reheat it or anything. As far as what is going to happen to this cake, I don't know. We'll probably eat it. Maybe I'll. I actually have no idea. I don't know because I don't think there's any room in the fridge for this cake. Hey, yeah, that's not half bad. Nice. Now I could do like a layer of ganache on top, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm just gonna. Actually, you know what? You know what I'm gonna do? Let me see if there's no. No, there's probably no frosting. I was gonna put like little frosting dots all around it, but I'm not gonna do that. So I will do raspberries. Raspberries. These are good looking raspberries too. Now, if I really wanted to like be super professional about this, I'd do like the little rosettes and like put freaking chocolate candy and I don't know, raspberries and all kinds of good stuff. But this is just a test run, so we're not making this super fancy. She have the raspberries? Yes, yes she is. It. Voila. This is the cake. All this business out the way. It's the cake. I'll come back here and I'll zoom in on it so you guys can see better. Oh, she's a little lopsided, but that's okay. Here she is. So. All right, everyone. I got to skedaddle out of here. I got places to be, things to do. But I hope you enjoyed it. It was definitely not a regular live, but would you please, sir, no, out of the kitchen. Go on, no, out of the kitchen. Dogs need the death of me. I hope you learned something. I hope you had enjoyed your time here. I love you guys. And there will be lots of pictures from the wedding. I will post pictures of the actual finished cake that will be served at the wedding when it is done. Hopefully it's not as hideous as this one. But even if it is, I don't care. Actually, you know what I should do? I don't think this cake is going to be tall enough to fit a Smirnoff ice inside. At least as it is. Yeah. Unfortunately. So I'm not going to be able to ice my little brother on his wedding day. At least with his wedding cake. But we'll figure something out. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me. Let me move this out of the way. And I will see you guys next week.